On a seemingly ordinary day in late January 2021, San Antonio police received a call for a routine welfare check. What they discovered was far from routine. An upscale apartment complex, usually abuzz with the humdrum of everyday life, was now the stage for a tragic and perplexing scene. The police were greeted by a sight that was anything but ordinary. A single bullet hole punctuated the front door of one of the apartment units. Inside lay the lifeless body of 34-year-old Martell DeRouen, a gunshot wound to the head marking the abrupt end of his life. The apartment bore the disarrayed signs of what seemed to be a heated confrontation. Furniture overturned, objects scattered, a chilling testament to the violence that had transpired. Yet, the peculiarities of the scene were just beginning to surface. The front door was deadbolted from the inside, a seemingly incongruous detail considering the bullet hole that pierced it from the outside. As they navigated through the eerie silence of the apartment, the officers couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The usual narrative of a break-in gone wrong didn't fit. The locked door was an anomaly that contradicted the typical patterns they were used to. It was as if the bullet had somehow defied the laws of physics, penetrating the solid door to claim its victim. Adding to the mystery, there were no signs of forced entry, no broken windows, no shattered locks, just the lone bullet hole in the door, like a silent whisper of the horror that had unfolded within these walls. This was a puzzle that refused to come together, a jigsaw with pieces that didn't fit. The police were left with more questions than answers. Who had wanted Martell DeRouen dead, and how had they managed to fire a shot through a locked door? This was not a typical crime scene. The door was deadbolted from the inside, yet the fatal shot was clearly fired from outside the door. A mystery was unfolding. As investigators dug deeper into the case, they began to uncover a web of intrigue and deception. Their first port of call was the apartment complex where the tragedy had unfolded. It was a place that bore the vestiges of affluence, but also a grim reminder of the incident that had occurred just days prior. The detectives started by canvassing the neighbors. The residents, still reeling from the shock, shared a jumbled mix of observations. Some reported hearing a heated argument, punctuated by the chilling sound of a gunshot. Others claimed to have seen a shadowy figure skulking around the complex late in the evening. Each piece of information, while seemingly disparate, was a crucial thread in the complex tapestry of this investigation. Then came the doorbell camera footage, and with it, a new lead. The grainy footage showed an unfamiliar figure approaching the apartment. The person's face was obscured, but their stature, gait, and clothing provided valuable clues. The detectives began to piece together a profile of the potential shooter. Yet, despite the new evidence, the identity of the shooter remained a mystery. Parallelly, the crime scene investigators were hard at work. They meticulously examined the bullet hole in the door, the trajectory of the bullet, and the location of the body. The puzzling part was the deadbolt. How did the shooter manage to lock the door from the inside after firing the shot from outside? This peculiar detail added another layer of complexity to the investigation. As the hours turned into days, the police worked tirelessly, combing through every shred of evidence. They interviewed friends and family, cross-checked alibis, and pursued every lead. But with each new discovery, the case only seemed to grow more convoluted. The mystery was like a dark labyrinth, and every turn seemed to lead to another dead end. The more they explored, the more complex the case became, yet the identity of the shooter remained elusive. In the midst of their investigation, police received an unexpected clue, a bizarre 911 call. A voice, distorted and quivering, echoed through the line, sending chills down the spines of the officers on duty. It was a call that would forever be etched in their minds, a call that would steer the investigation down a path few could have anticipated. The caller, anonymous and elusive, spoke in hushed whispers. They claimed to have heard a heated argument that night, followed by an unmistakable sound, a gunshot. Their voice trembled as they recalled the events, painting a vivid image of fear and tension. The call was brief. The caller disconnected before the operator could probe for more information. Despite the caller's anonymity and the brevity of the call, it provided a vital lead. The call was traced back to the vicinity of the crime scene, adding credibility to the caller's account. It was clear that the caller had been close enough to hear the argument and the fatal shot. Yet, they had chosen to remain anonymous, a decision that piqued the interest of the investigators. Why would a potential eyewitness choose to hide their identity? Was it out of fear? Or was there a more sinister reason? These questions swirled around in the minds of the detectives, adding another layer of mystery to an already puzzling case. The voice on the call was meticulously analyzed by experts. They picked apart every syllable, every inflection, searching for any clues that might hint at the identity of the caller. Despite their efforts, the identity of the caller remained a mystery, but the call had served its purpose. It had provided a lead, a direction for the investigation. It had confirmed the circumstances of the crime, corroborating the physical evidence at the scene. This call, strange as it was, would eventually lead police to the identity of the shooter. A piece of the puzzle had fallen into place, setting the stage for a shocking revelation that would leave everyone stunned. But that, dear listeners, is a tale for another time. The pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, leading investigators to an unlikely suspect, Sasha Skare. As detectives dove deeper into the case, they began to uncover a complex web of relationships surrounding Martell DeRouen. Among those entwined in his life was a figure that stood out, Sasha Skare, a female rapper from Austin, Texas. Skare was far from the typical suspect one might imagine in a case such as this. Skare's public persona portrayed her as a rising star in the music industry with her soulful voice and poignant lyrics. Yet beneath the glamour of her rap career, there were darker shades to her story. Skare had a troubled past marked by previous run-ins with the law. This was no secret, it was a part of her narrative that she openly shared in her music. But what seemed like a history of minor offenses suddenly took on a new and sinister light in the wake of DeRouen's murder. The investigators' interest in Skare grew when they discovered she was not only acquainted with DeRouen, but was also romantically linked to him. This connection, coupled with her criminal past, moved her up the list of potential suspects. The final piece that pointed to Skare was the mysterious 911 call. The call had been traced back to her phone, placing her at the scene of the crime. It was a chilling revelation that took everyone by surprise. But the most unsettling revelation was yet to come. Skare was not just a person of interest, she was the prime suspect. Her fingerprints matched those found on the bullet casing at the crime scene, a damning piece of evidence that solidified her involvement in the crime. This discovery sent shockwaves through the community. The idea that a rising star in the music industry could be implicated in such a horrific crime was almost unbelievable. Yet, the evidence was clear. Sasha Skare was more than just an unlikely suspect. She was the main suspect in DeRouen's tragic death. As Sasha Skare's identity came to light, the shocking truth of Martell DeRouen's tragic end began to unfold. As the final pieces of the puzzle fell into place, the shocking and tragic truth of Martell DeRouen's murder was revealed. Unraveling this web of mystery, investigators found themselves at the doorstep of Sasha Skare, an aspiring rapper with a criminal past. A past that included aggravated assault charges, a history that made her an unlikely but undeniable suspect. In a strange twist of fate, Sasha was arrested in Austin, Texas after a minor traffic violation. The quick-thinking officer recognized her from the warrant issued in connection to Martell's murder. The woman at the center of this chilling tale was finally in custody. The story that unfolded in the courtroom was one of a heated argument gone terribly wrong. Sasha, it was revealed, had fired the fatal shot from outside DeRouen's apartment. The door, dead-bolted from the inside, had offered little protection against the incoming bullet. Witness testimonies painted a picture of a turbulent relationship. Neighbors recalled frequent loud disputes. DeRouen's life, it seemed, was not as picture-perfect as it had appeared. And then, there was the mysterious 911 call. A woman's voice, eerily calm, reported a murder at DeRouen's apartment. The voice was later identified as Sasha's. The call, a bizarre attempt to distance herself from the crime, only served as damning evidence against her. A jury found Sasha Skare guilty of the murder of Martell DeRouen. The aspiring rapper was sentenced to life in prison, ending her dreams of fame and fortune. As the gavel fell, a sense of closure washed over the courtroom. Justice had been served, but the tragic loss of a life still hung in the air. In a case that began with a single bullet through a door, the tragic tale of Martell DeRouen's murder serves as a chilling reminder of the unpredictable nature of crime.